So for me, it started when a friend in high school at a boarding school that I was at in rural Virginia when I was 15 said, Trey Anastasio says smoke DMT and trip to another world. And I had no idea what he was talking about. So I went back to my room, opened my laptop, and Googled DMT. And I came across this page, which you're probably familiar with. And on Erowid, which is, in my mind, one of the first decentralized science experiments, and perhaps the premier resource for decentralized science, especially in the field of psychedelics. It's also one of the first wiki-style websites on the web, and one of the early pioneering websites of the open internet. And on Erowid, I found the repository for DMT when I'd searched what is DMT, after my friend had made that joke about smoking DMT and tripping to another world. And I went straight to the trip reports part of it and started reading the trip reports from people all over the world who were writing their dosage, their timing, and their experience, and sharing that in this public forum. And there are thousands of trip reports from people that are continuously being updated even today. And in those reports were the most fantastical things. Experiences of aliens, of beings made of pure language, of fractal patterning, multicolored kaleidoscopic visionary overlay on the world, and these mystical experiences of transcendent mind and divinity and spirit and God and death and life and rebirth and all this stuff. And in that was this great mystery of what the hell is going on here? Like, what do you mean people are taking this DMT and experiencing these things? To me, as a 15-year-old, when I first encountered it, it sounded fantastical, like fantasy, like reminded me of the Wheel of Time series or Lord of the Rings or other fantasy novels that I'd read when I was younger, or Dune with Paul Atreides when he can see all the possibilities with cause and effect stretching out into infinity, and the Fremen take the spice as a hallucinogen to perceive the world more clearly, understand the fundamental aspects of reality. And in there was this great mystery of what is going on and what is it showing us. And from there I found that the indigenous peoples of the world are kind of the wisdom keepers of a lot of this knowledge. Many of these plants and their derivatives come from indigenous people's knowledge. And so I decided at that age that I would study the anthropology of ethnobotanical psychedelics. Specifically, what seemed to me to be the most powerful of them all on the visionary side and on the technological side, because it's an admixture of two different plants, is ayahuasca. And what's cool about ayahuasca is it takes this highly potent DMT and it precipitates it, or it kind of wraps it in MAOIs made from the ayahuasca vine, harmaline. And what the MAOIs do is they inhibit the enzyme monoamine oxidase that breaks down DMT otherwise, which results in DMT to be very short-acting. DMT smoked or insufflated or injected, it will be a maybe 15, 20 minute, 30 minute experience. But when you combine it with MAOIs, as the indigenous peoples of the upper Amazon do with ayahuasca, you get a 2-hour experience, sometimes a 4-hour experience of the same DMT space. And that's very, very powerful. And not only that, but they say, when you ask them, how do you learn about all these other plants in your pharmacies? They say, we learn about these other plants from taking ayahuasca and speaking to the plants. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What does that mean? And as an anthropologist, you kind of have to give the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, well, what if they're right? What if they're telling the truth? What if it's not just simply trial and error for thousands of years, but they're actually talking to the plants? And so the hypothesis is that ayahuasca is almost like a living microscope that people take in order to like you do with a microscope, learn about the things you're looking at, get information, understand what they do, and then bring that back and create, interesting healing recipes. So that, for me, triggered this lifetime obsession since then, with specifically ethnobotanical psychedelics and coming out of this indigenous traditions. And that in itself is at the heart of PsyDAO.